What's going on, guys? So you decided to join the Army Reserves or the National Guard, and in this video I'm going to talk about whether or not it actually interferes with like your family life, family events, school, or work. Starting off with family events, family get-togethers, holidays, and stuff like that. First off, your unit is, they're not totally idiots unless you have like, a douchebag freaking, I don't know, first sergeant or somebody who just like, hates Christmas and stuff and wants to schedule your drills around those days. You're probably not going to have an issue with like Thanksgiving and Christmas and, really big events like that. But some other holidays you may have an issue with. Now, I just want to say right off the bat ahead of time that what happens in your drills and stuff is you will get a schedule of the entire fiscal year of your drills. Every single day that you are going to have drill basically for the next year is going to be given to you on a piece of paper, and you can schedule all of your events around that. Okay, so like going on to later stuff, like let's say you're planning a vacation or something like that, or let's say one of your other family members plans a vacation and they want to know if you're going to make it, or they're trying to plan a date around you. So that happens with me all the time. Now my family will ask me like, hey, we're planning this vacation or something on this day, do you have drill or anything like that? My girlfriend asks me that stuff all the time, and so I can just check on the little calendar whether or not it has drill. It does change every now and then. They might change like 2 months or so, but for the most part you do have a schedule of your drills for the rest of the year, whether it's a 2-day drill or a 3-day drill, or even if you don't have drill for a month. Because what happens is you're supposed to have 2 days of drill every month for the 12 months, right? And you have your annual training. Now, if, let's say for example, for 2 of those months you have a 3-day drill, well, that means that one of the months out of the year you're not going to have a drill. For example, this July, I believe it's for us, we don't have drill, and that's because this year we've already had a couple of 3-day drills and stuff like that that have basically already taken up those days in July, so we don't have to have that. And because of that, we can kind of schedule things, and they're not, like I said, they're not stupid as far as making the schedule. They know in June and July a lot of people go on vacations, right? Which I will be going on vacation in July for July 4th, and they know that. So, and I already knew, like last year that I was going to be good in July, that there was no drills and stuff like that. So that's one thing that you guys need to remember when you go into the reserves or the National Guard. You're gonna have a schedule. Now, as far as does it actually still interfere with family events, that is yes, right? I've missed, in just 2 years of being in the reserves, I've missed, family birthdays, I've missed events, I've missed fairly big, events that I've really wanted to go to, but I had to go to drill. I really like the Carolina Panthers. I'm from North Carolina. I've missed a ton of freaking, big Panthers games because, I couldn't get home in time. I wasn't done with drill until like 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. and I missed, football games and stuff like that. So you're going to miss stuff like that, but really major things, it's not going to be too big of an issue, because if you have, let's say you have a stupid, commander or something that schedules a drill in December right around Christmas time. Like, they don't do it like the first week of December like a smart person would do. They do it like the last week of December when a ton of people are doing stuff for their family. A ton of people are doing Christmas get-togethers at their grandparents and stuff like that. So let's say you have that issue. Well, if you know way ahead of time that you have that issue, what you can do is you can fill out an RST form, which is where you can request to be off for that drill and put on a date that you will make up that drill. So you're going to miss that day of drill in December that is interfering with your Christmas get-together, and you will put on a date that you would like to make up that drill. It'll go to your, I believe, first sergeant and commander. They will either approve or disapprove it. It does not have to be approved. So if you're just requesting stuff all the time, freaking RST forms everywhere, I don't feel like going in today, I'm going to do an RST form. Number one, you have to fill out a form over a month ahead of time. So that's the thing. You're not supposed to just straight up the day before fill out one of these forms and think you're going to get away with it. If you fill out a form ahead of time, you're good. but you shouldn't be doing it for little frivolous events and stuff like that, because you want to really save that for days that you're really going to need it. But other than that, you're going to miss a few things every now and then for family, but in my opinion, it's not the end of the world, because the really big events that you don't want to miss, you're going to be able to request off for, you know, like even if it's like a funeral or something like that, your unit will work with you on that. Like if you have to go to a funeral, you're going to be fine. Like if your, you know, grandparents or something pass away and you got a funeral on your drill day and you don't find out even like a week ahead of time, you're still going to be fine. So it's not that big of a deal. These are human beings. In my experience, people are usually pretty nice and they will work with you on actual real life, you know, family events. The next thing is school, and whether or not the reserves and your drills interfere with your school. Can you complete school and all this stuff? I've been asked about this and work in the comments a lot, so hopefully this answers it for you guys. The reserves does not interfere with school. The only way the reserves will interfere with your school is if you are a crazy procrastinator and you don't want to get your work done. So let's say you have, if you're in college, right? So, you know, you're not going to be in the reserves if you're in high school. So if you're in college, you have usually about a week or so to get your work done. And drills are usually on Saturday and Sunday. Now, it's not like you're there the entire day. You're usually done with drill around 4 or 5 o'clock. And then you will go home or go to your hotel if you're having to commute really far. And if you need to get your schoolwork done, you can get it done, right? You'll go back to school on Monday, and even if you have online classes, you can still do that. So the only way you can, you know, drills and stuff like that will interfere with your school is like if you let it. So if you procrastinate your work and you've got so much stuff to do on that weekend, that Saturday and Sunday, you have just so much stuff to do, then that's usually your fault because you didn't do it the week ahead of time leading up to drill, and you know, it just wouldn't have been an issue if you had been, you know, on the ball. Now, if you have like school events or you're in a club or something like that and they have like an event or something on that day that you have drill, then that's kind of just like tough luck. You're not gonna really, I seriously doubt you're gonna be able to request off for that, unless that's just like you're about to graduate college. It's like this humongous thing. You know, I really doubt that you're gonna be able to request off for that day, and you're just gonna have to miss it. If there's something school related, or if you're in some kind of sport or something like that, a minor sport, I'm sure they would let you off, like if you were like in college basketball or something like that. But I don't know, like for me, I was in the ping pong club for a little bit. If you guys didn't know, I'm pretty good at ping pong, like pretty darn good at ping pong. And so that was just something I did for a little while my sophomore year when I wasn't in the Army. But if I was in the Army, and let's say there was like a tournament or something like that, and it fell on a drill day, well, then I would just have to miss that tournament and go to drill, because that's the priority. You signed up to do it. That's one thing I just want to talk about real quick. I really don't understand when people complain about drill and stuff, when it's just like the easiest thing in the world just to come to something 1 week in a month. You get paid plenty well, in my opinion, for just doing minimal work, not like hard labor or anything like that. You get paid pretty well. You have your schedule a year ahead of time, and people still complain about going to drill. I'm like, this is really not that bad. The last thing is work. Does the reserve drills interfere with your work? And it depends, right? So if you have a job that like worked every weekend and you only worked on the weekends, then it might interfere, because you would be getting 25% of the work done that you normally would. So I would just suggest getting another job where you can work during the week, right? Let's say you have a normal job and there's like a 3-day drill. So you're gonna have drill on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you work Monday through Friday, okay? So let's say that scenario happens. Well, your work, your job, they have got to let you off, okay? You're not going to get fired. You're not supposed to get fired, or else you can sue and do all that stuff for, you know, like discriminating against the military or whatever. So they cannot fire you at whatever job you have because you're in the military. They cannot do it. They cannot do it. They would have to find some other excuse to fire you, like maybe you're a lazy worker or something like that, but they cannot fire you because you are in the military. With that being said, though, I do have a few people at my unit that have very stressful or high, you know, work volume jobs that might have to take work home on the weekends and stuff like that that might interfere a little bit with your work, but for the most part, I don't think it's not the end of the world, because one of the guys that was, you know, telling me about it and kind of complained about it before is talking about re-enlisting in the Army Reserves now. So it's obviously not that big of a deal. For me, working, it only does interfere a little bit, just because even though I still work on the weekends and I'm programming and stuff like that, there's really not a time on programming. You just kind of do it. So whenever I'm doing that, it just gives me less time in the day to work, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't work on Saturday and Sunday, but for just a couple hours, like I'm gonna die. Like it's really not like that. But the caveat to all of this is, let's say, for example, you own your own business, okay? I kind of semi-own my own business. It's really not that big of a deal, but let's say you own your own big old company and stuff like that. You know, is work going to interfere? Probably. You know, if you have stuff to do on the weekends, if you have a lot of work, that like really important work that's like, you know, life or death for your business, like that's a big deal. You may be able to request RST forms and stuff for that, but you know, that's just something that you're going to have to deal with if you are in the reserves and drills, and it's just what you signed up for. Because if you started this business and you owned this business, let's say before you joined the military, you knew going ahead of time you're going to have these drills. And one of the things that makes it easier is you have these, you know, ahead of time yearly schedules. So you can schedule like on a business meetings and, you know, stuff like that, and your, you know, business events around your military schedule, because you have to do that. If you miss drill days, this is something I want to talk about. If you miss drill days, then you could get kicked out of the Army Reserves or the National Guard for it's called like unsatisfactory participation, which is where you miss 9 like training days. And I've said this before, but I'll say it in this video because I'm really talking about the reserves. 9 training days is basically 4.5 days or 4.5 months. So on a normal drill month, you're gonna have drill on a Saturday and Sunday, and a drill day of pay is Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. So that's 4 days in a drill day, right? Or 4 days in a drill month. So if you miss 9 of those, then you can be kicked out, and you can be like, you know, it's like subject to UCMJ, so you can get, you know, fined, or you can have a lot of bad stuff happen to you if you just straight up miss days of drill. So if, like, let's say you just miss one for the whole year, you just miss one. Well, your unit might just be like, what the heck, dude? But you know, that's only 2 days for missing 1 day of drill. So you're good. You got 7 more to go. But once you hit that 9th one, so once you miss that 5th day, like actual day, once you miss that 5th one, then you can be kicked out. Like, just your papers will be in processing to send you out of the military. So you want to, you know, try to avoid that. And one of the ways you can avoid it, like I've said before, is you fill out those RST forms. So if you're really missing drill that much, you will, you know, you'll be filling up these RST forms and, you know, doing that. I have seen people get kicked out. I've seen a couple people get kicked out because they haven't showed up, because I mean, it's kind of, I'm happy they got kicked out, because they, for one, they rarely came to drill. They didn't really care about it. They were just not motivated at all, so they just didn't come to drill. They got kicked out of the military because they missed those 9 training days. So that's something to keep in mind. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've had probably the most questions about this specific topic right here than any other topic. Is like one of the top ones that people have asked me. So I hope that answered your guys' question. The main thing you guys need to remember is, number 1, you're gonna get a schedule of the whole year of when your drills are, and number 2, your higher ups, your first sergeant, your commander, I mean, they're people. If you have a real life event, like something really major going on that you just cannot miss, they're probably gonna work with you. If you know about this thing, you know, ahead of time, you can fill out an RST form ahead of time, so it's not that big of a deal. In my experience, in my personal opinion, the reserves in the past 2 years, or well, about 1.5 years since I've been drilling, it's not that bad. Yes, I've missed a few birthdays and stuff like that, but you know, to me, it's totally worth it. You know, what I'm giving up, the piece of my life that I'm having to give up, is, in my opinion, worth it for what I'm getting out of the military. Now, when you get deployed in the reserves and stuff like that, you're just deployed, then I'm just gonna miss that whole year or whatever. But as of right now, in drill and the 2 weeks of annual training, you get to schedule your stuff around that. It's not that bad. So that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit that like button. That would be just amazing. Comment any questions you have down below. Anything else regarding the reserves, basic training, AIT, whatever. Ask me those questions down below. My computer just cut off. But yeah, I will answer them as soon as I get back from my training in June. And subscribe if you want to check out the rest of my videos. Look at that. And I will see you guys later.